folks, this is Ray here, your friendly neighborhood nerd. Today, I want to talk about SSH and how to use it properly. We're connecting to a server today, talking about the dangers and about logging in without a password, so stay tuned. So connecting is pretty straightforward. This is PuTTY, the SSH client. So that's where you type in the address you want to connect to, and the port is 22. I have already started to add some servers here because I use SSH on a regular basis. And if we connect to the server, it asks us for the login, and that's where you put in your username and password if you do it normally. And if I'm doing it, it asks me for a PIN because I am using a hardware token that does the handshake. And here we are on my little server. So here we are on my little Linux server, and you might want to ask me, hey Ray, what is wrong with using a password? Let me show you what happens in the real world. This is the log file of my SSH server, and we've got a lot of attacks here going on. Somebody coming around, trying to log in as root, and trying to guess the passwords. And as you see from the timestamps, this is not just one attempt per day. This is like, as you can see here, one attempt every now and then, every few seconds, which is quite a lot, and that's why you usually don't want to use passwords. And if you have ever used a Raspberry Pi, you might wonder why you couldn't log in as root. It's plain simple. Let me show you. If we look at the config file of the SSH daemon, which is an etc ssh d underscore config, there is something that says authentication. There we go. Permit root login is prohibited using a password, which is, yeah, you know, a security feature. Because root is the administrator, as you know. And as root, you may do anything from, you know, deleting all the files and setting permissions, installing software, you know, even kill small kittens. So this is why they already implemented that as a developer to limit the damage. If you go down there, you've got authorized key stuff, and you can always say you can't use the interactive authentication. How do we get an SSH key? Let me show you. On Linux, it is straightforward using the command ssh keygen -t and then the algorithm, which is in my case misspelled because it should be ed25519, which is an elliptic curve. Of course, you can do more like that. It's like if you type ssh keygen like this --help, you see what it can do. And as you see with the algorithms, there are a lot to choose from. So normally you would stick with ECDSA and ed25519. RSA is quite a bit outdated by now, and DSA, so I wouldn't recommend using those. So what happens if you have generated your keys? They are usually stored in the SSH directory. And if we look in there, you've got the ID underscore and the chosen algorithm, and you've got the according pub file. The pub file is the more interesting one because what's in there is a short string that you need. And if you take that one, you can copy it and put it in your authorized keys. The authorized key files if it doesn't exist, you just create it. It's just plain empty text file where you put in the keys. And here we've got my key from here, so I can log in via SSH to my local host. Okay, and other keys too. And that allows me to use my SSH keys. The private key needs to be safe. Now, on Windows, it's even more easy. The program we are using is the PuTTY key generator, and that's how it looks like. And you just select the algorithm you want to use. In my case, this is the ED25519. I just click generate, and it takes some randomness, and here we've got the same thing, the public key. You can, of course, add a key comment, which is this here. I usually use something like an email address or a user on which machine, so where that key belongs to, so I can distinguish them. A key passphrase is used to protect the key, so that you need to decrypt it before you can use it. And then usually you save your private key and put it on a safe place. But now let's talk a bit about security. As you have seen, I'm using a hardware token, which is a Nitro key. And it looks pretty much like a USB thumb drive. As you can see, there is not really much difference, but it is completely different. It's not expensive, it's around 50 bucks, and it is something that generates the SSH, or in my case, it's a GPG key, on the device. So your computer doesn't even know about the private key, and only the public key is given out. So that is pretty neat, and it's even more neat if you know that you can't really grab the private key from that device. In other words, if you have a backdoor on your computer or it's compromised in some way, there is no way that this private key gets out of your token. Another cool thing is the token does all of the handling, so you can work with your private key as you're used to. And this is really neat, and I've really grown quite attached to that, because it's such a relief to know that nobody can steal my key, because it is at my keychain. And I really want to see a way that somebody can access my keychain over the network. So that's the end of the video for now, and I would appreciate it if you would drop a subscription, thumbs up, or leave a comment. I mean, a comment can be a question, can be anything. I will work with that. If you've got a question and you want to catch me live, I'm streaming on Twitch on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, around 5 p.m. Central European time. So, or maybe we'll see you there. So, this is Ray signing off for today.